Hello, everyone. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com, and welcome to today's morning market outlook. First off, let's do some housekeeping. This is a holiday shortened week, and we're open today. We'll do video this morning, we'll do charts this afternoon. Then that's it for us for the rest of the week. We're going to be closed until Saturday. And on Saturday at noon, we'll post a complete weekend update, daily, weekly, monthly charts and reports. So that'll happen on Saturday morning. Now, the market should be fairly quiet, but it certainly wasn't quiet on Friday. We do not have any major economic numbers coming out in the pre-market this morning. We do have U.S. consumer confidence coming out at 10, and that could tilt the market one way or the other, depending on how drastic those numbers are. We can start off today looking at the fear index, and it had a wild day on Friday as the market did. But the VIX for the S&P 500, for the NASDAQ, for the Russell, they're all still on buy signals. So we are still short-term bearish on the stock market. Now, Friday was an extremely volatile day. A lot of symbols made new lows on Friday and bounced. A lot of them closed positive for the day. Some of them were able to close above Thursday's high, but certainly nobody's challenging Wednesday's high so far. So there's the TSX making a new low on Friday before recovering. There's the Dow. We're having fun watching the Dow, the transports, and the utilities. Utilities did not make a new low on Friday, but have certainly broken down below 1,000. And we were watching the NASDAQ, which of course is leading the market in 2024. The NASDAQ broke down and made a new low on Friday. And remember, we were watching the NASDAQ composite, which was able to crawl up above a 20,000 for a day or so, and then has broken back down. So 20,000 may be a major area of resistance for the NASDAQ composite. Now, here's the Russell 2000. The overall market looks like this right now. Of course, what the media is focused on and what big money is focused on are the big cap tech stocks in the Magnificent Seven. Now, I just listened to the news on the radio, and Mike Apple mentioned, he talked about Apple, NVIDIA, and Tesla. Those were the only three stocks he talked about in his business news update. So that's what the world is focused on right now, is those big cap tech stocks, and they're still, for the most part, doing fairly well. Now, I've prodded you before all this happened to take money off the table. If you're following our charts and you've got our price targets, then, automatically you should have been taking money off the table along the way. Otherwise, I did prod you to do this before the market fell apart. Now, the world knows this group of stocks as the Magnificent Seven. We've added Shopify to it to make it the Magnificent Eight. Apple made a new high on Friday, and people are looking for it to continue, of course. It did dip down into the channel, so we need to close on Monday below $245.55 to give us a sell signal. Not expecting that to happen on Monday. Amazon still on a sell signal. That hasn't changed. Alphabet still on a buy signal. That hasn't changed. Then we had Meta make a new low for this move on Friday. We saw Microsoft make a new low for this move on Friday. We've got NVIDIA had a fairly quiet day on Friday. It is still on a sell signal here. It is certainly within breathing distance of generating a buy signal on Monday with a close above $137.54. Notice that after making the high a couple of weeks ago, that we continued down and made a low, lower low than the previous low, and then a lower high, and then another lower low. So we would expect that we're going to make a lower high here and then continue the pattern lower. Now, we're currently holding the 100-day moving average, and you can see where the 200-day moving average is down there. That could certainly be a target if we take out last week's low. Now, we are holding the flypaper channel. This is the time and place where investors should come in and buy the dip. So far, they haven't done that just yet. And you can see that breakout above 140 would certainly be a sign that something new is happening. Taking a look at Shopify. Shopify still on a sell signal on both sides of the border, making a new low on Friday. Tesla closed in the channel on Friday, so a close below $411.32 would give us a sell signal on Monday. Remember, we were trying to get to 500, then we had the bearish reversal day, and we've moved down ever since. Now, before we get to the most actively traded stocks from Friday's trading action, let's take a look at currencies and bonds. The U.S. dollar index made a new high on Friday before reversing, and it is still on a buy signal here. And of course, the biggest pairs trade in the world is the U.S. dollar against the euro. and the euro moved up on Friday. We saw money come back into the Australian dollar, the British pound, the Canadian dollar on Friday. None of them, of course, are changing trend on Monday. And there's the Japanese yen making a new low on Friday before reversing. Looking at the bond market, bonds sold off last week. Friday, there was a little pop for the TLT and for the XBB. We saw money come back into the emerging markets, into junk bonds, but certainly no change in trend. Of course, with bonds selling off, that's putting upward pressure on bond yields. And of course, they're trying to fight the Fed at the moment, raising yields and trying to put upward pressure on interest rates right now. Taking a look at the U.S. most actives from Friday's trading action, we saw Rigetti having an inside day on Friday. No change in trend for SoundHound moving up, and that is, I guess, the second highest close for that particular stock. Palantir, which bounced off the lower channel line on Friday and moved up with a new closing high. We need to close on Monday below $70.78. There's Micron bouncing off a new low on Friday. Still on a sell signal. Lucid moved up, and if you took the Lucid trade a couple of weeks ago, we had two price targets, 273 and then 313. The first run up was up to the 273 level. And then on Friday, we hit 313. That was the high of the day. So congratulations if you're trading Lucid. And of course, we still have the top of the open gap up there on the way to 352. No joy for Ford on Friday. No joy for NU Holdings, and then a new low on Friday for Intel. Intel, our next price target was 1875. We got as low as 1890 on Friday. We should be able to hit 1875 on Monday. And of course, if you're short Intel, you want to be buying back some shares at the 1875 level or around there. Archer Aviation moved up on Friday, so it did not make a new high, but pretty close to it. Let's finish off this morning's presentation, taking a look at the TSX most actives from Friday's trading action. You're not going to see any trend changes here. There's Canadian Natural Resources making a new low on Friday. We did see Enbridge trade up into the channel. Looks like it's trying to find support at $58. A close on Monday above $59.96 would give us a buy signal there. For the TD Bank, we made a higher low on Friday than we did a couple weeks ago. And so here we are looking for a close on Monday above $76.13. There's a new low for Suncor on Friday. Then we've got Manulife trading up slightly. A close on Monday above $44.55 would give us a new buy signal for Manulife on Monday. There's CIBC looking for a close on Monday above $93.94. No joy for TELUS making a new low on Friday. Then we saw Air Canada make a new low on Friday before recovering slightly. Certainly no change in trend there. There's a Pembina making a base. We did not make a lower low on Friday, so that could be the start of something, but certainly nothing to do on Monday. With all of these stocks, if we don't break out above the upper channel line on Monday, that upper channel line is going to continue to move lower daily. Then there's BCE, possibly putting in a bottom around here. We'll just have to wait and see. And then Barrick had an inside day on Friday, trying to hold 2188. If that breaks down, then 2031 would be our next target to the downside for Barrick. Okay, folks, that's all for this morning's presentation. So far, it looks fairly quiet out there. The Dow's lower, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are slightly higher so far, but we're still pretty early in the pre-market. Have a great day. Have a great holiday. Have a wonderful Christmas. Happy Hanukkah to everybody. And thank you for all your support. And next time you'll hear my voice is on Sunday. And on Saturday, we will do a complete weekend update.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.